Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is August 8th, and right now we're going to do the first of what I hope is a long-term running monthly recap series here. And first, we're going to start with July 2024. Got the new data in here right now, and we're going to take a look at what the Climate Prediction Center predicts. We're going to see just exactly what happened. We're going to see what kind of videos I did during the month, and we're going to take a look at how the channel's doing as well. And then we're going to dive into each individual location here across the Pacific Northwest, or at least some of them, and we're going to take a look at what kind of weather we experienced across the region. And first, I want to show you the Climate Prediction Center puts out these maps here, but this is the key to it here. You can see that just because it's shaded blue does not mean that they think it's only going to be below normal and we're going to be colder than normal in any given region. You can see this is still just a probabilistic based forecast. You got 40 to 50% chance of well below normal in this darker blue, but there's still a third chance it's going to be near normal, and there's still chances it could be well above normal as well. You can see between 26.7 and 16.7 as well. And then you can see in the white there where you got equal chances, you've got a third chance for each of those conditions across that middle portion of the country. And again, this is just kind of an example key, but you can also see the flip side of that across some portions like, the southern USA in this example would be only 16.7 to 6.7 chance of well below normal. Kind of just understanding the uncertainty in looking out a month in advance in a forecast. So you can see the temperature outlook here on the left for July 2024. This was issued June 30th, and you can see much of the lower 48 they had above average and really centered on the Intermountain West. So if we take a look at what happened, actually the 120th out of 130 Julys on record here. So that is a very warm July. If it was the warmest July, for example, you would see that number being 130. If it was the coldest July on record, you would see the number 1 for coldest. So pretty warm across much of the lower 48 states. And so they did a pretty good job on that forecast. You got to hand it to them there. But if we take a look at precipitation, we're going to look at that now, and you can see it was actually the 101st wettest, so above average. And you can see there were still some portions that it had, what is that, kind of a mixed bag here, but they had this more middle of the road, but we're actually wetter than normal there. So a little bit of a miss, maybe you can call that. And if we take a look at July 2024, it gets even in more detail here with regional average temperature ranks. If you look across California and Nevada, that was the warmest out of 130 years of records. It was the warmest July ever recorded. The Pacific Northwest was number 2 all time, and you can see portions of the Intermountain West in Arizona and New Mexico at 127. So a lot of places experienced very warm Julys. You can see the Northeast 127, the Southeast 124, for example. So if we take a look at regional precipitation ranks, a little bit different picture here. So let's go back to precipitation outlook. It didn't do too bad because they did predict that below average across Pacific Northwest, which we indeed saw, the 25th driest one there. And again, if it was the driest, it would have been number 1. But if it was the record wettest, it would have been number 130. Hopefully that makes sense for everybody out there. Now, if we take a look at statewide temperature ranks, you can see Washington, Oregon, 129, the second warmest July ever. Idaho in the top, the top 7 or 8 there at 123, Montana at 121. And again, the Climate Prediction Center was kind of onto that here, showing that increased likelihood of above normal warmth there across the West Coast. So if we take a look at statewide precipitation ranks, again, quite dry across Washington and Oregon also. So just kind of comparing that, you can see 25 versus 23 and 45 for Idaho and 27 for Montana. Now, let's keep going down the line here. You can also see that it breaks it down into county temperature ranks. You can see much of Western Oregon, record warmest temperatures here. Much of Washington, all of Washington actually, much above average. And much of Idaho also much above average as well. A lot of western Montana and northern portions there also. So you can really see how the heat was concentrated along the west coast here down into California, Nevada, and portions of Arizona as well. And again, Climate Prediction Center did a pretty good job with that overall. But you can see they kind of missed on central portions of the country where it was just below average here for some areas. So kind of interesting there. Now, taking a look at the county mean temperature anomaly, again, you can just kind of see the heat there across much of the West. So, 3 to 6 and 6 to, there were places 6 to 9 degrees above average, just kind of ridiculous there. And much of Oregon was 6 to 9 above average. Same with California also, and portions of Washington. But 3 to 6 is still a big deal as well. Now, percent of normal precipitation. Now, these numbers during the summertime can be a little bit misleading, so I don't want to get too crazy with this, but you can see much of the Pacific Northwest well below normal here precipitation-wise, so it did a pretty good job on picking up on that, but you can see it did kind of miss in some other areas, like, for instance, Florida and whatnot. Some of the East Coast was below normal precipitation there also. But now let's take a look at the total precipitation. So why I told you to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt here is because we don't average that much precipitation across the Pacific Northwest during the month of July. For example, Seattle is about 0.6 of an inch of rain. So if you're what we had about 0.16, all that is just a very low percentage of what we normally get. It's still not that big of a deficit in actual precipitation amounts, but that still makes a difference when you're out there farming across some of the dryland farming, Eastern Washington, for example. If you're getting even, a small percentage less, it can have a big impact on your crops. So it is important. Now, let's take a look at what we talked about this month. So I have the last 28 days here of videos. This is kind of a cool thing that YouTube does, and these are the analytics. You can see the views would be right here. So that La Nina update at 115,000 views. The monsoon moisture returning at 61, and you can see 24. You can go down the list here. And getting 10,000 views plus on most of these videos is really quite good, actually. I mean, that's a lot of people. So that's a credit to everybody here across Pacific Northwest. You guys, you want to join in. A lot of comments get left and whatnot. So, there's a lot of good interaction going on with all these views. And you can see the monthly total, or the last 28 days anyway, 520,000 views. You can see the impressions, subscribers gained. It even shows you that per video, for example. But yeah, you can see we did talk a lot about monsoon moisture here. And of course, the upcoming La Nina is a big thing as well. It has big impacts on our potential winter here. And we're having a video on that coming up here as we go through next week. Starting to get some data in now, so interesting stuff coming up on that, so make sure to tune in for that. But you can see we we're dealing with the summer thunderstorms. We had some lightning out there. We had dry thunderstorm activity moving up across the region, and we had some cool downs mixed in there as well. But again, a very warm month here, and it seems like I was talking about heat almost every single day across some of the Pacific Northwest. But yeah, thought I'd show you guys some of this. You can see the watch time hours per video, for example, and the average view duration and whatnot. So kind of fun stuff to go back and look at this, and I'll probably fine tune this, and this will get better over time as we go month by month. I'll listen to some of your guys's comments and whatnot, and give me some advice on what you guys want to see as far as this is concerned. Maybe we'll go over some of these videos in a little bit more detail, but right now we're just kind of sifting through things and figuring things out, and there's the comments there. So if we take a look at individual locations, you can do what a monthly roundup for Olympia, Washington here. You can see Olympia, Washington Airport, and the record high set back in July 29th, 2009 was 104. We did hit 100 degrees there on July 9th. The lowest temperature at 44 degrees. Let's go ahead and take a look here. You can see all this record data, the average maximum temperature, average minimum. There's the record high precipitation for the month of July set back in 1983 of 3 inches. And back in 2021, only a trace was recorded, no measurable precipitation. Only 0.2 of an inch this so far this for the month of July, not so far, but for the month of July. And if you go down, you can see 0.2 of an inch of that fell on the 29th of July, which is just happens to be one of the driest days here across the Pacific Northwest. So kind of unusual there. But you can go down and you can see all kinds of interesting stuff here as the average wind speed, the highest peak wind gust, for example, light rain if there was thunderstorms recorded, although there were not for this month. Heavy rain, light rain. You can see days with fog, days with haze, fog, quarter mile or less, actually less than a quarter mile there as well. So yeah, interesting stuff. Seattle, Tacoma, you can see the highest July temperature ever was on July 29th, 2009. Remember that one? Well, that was the all-time record high for a while until 2021 hit. And again, you can see the average high temperature for Seattle, pretty notable there, 81.4. The highest was 98 on July 9th. 0.16 of an inch. That was it. And we really got most of that during the one day on July 29th. Actually, all of it came on the July 29th through the 30th. That is correct. So yeah, 24-hour total, 0.16. So very interesting there. You can see the highest wind speed there, 24 miles per hour. That will definitely be picking up, of course, as we go through the fall and winter months. But 4 days with some light rain here that showed up. It just wasn't measurable precipitation. 3 days with fog, 3 days with haze, and 1 day with that dense fog. So yeah, fun stuff there. Taking a look at Bellingham. Let's take a look here. 88 was the highest temperature. The all-time record high for July is 96. average high, average minimum, and then you can see no days above 90. As you see, we only got to 88. Got 1.02 inches of rain. The all-time record high is 2.86. That was set back in 1982. The greatest 24-hour total. Almost a full inch of rain there on the 29th to 30th with that system, 0.97. So pretty noteworthy there for July. 5 days with light rain, 7 days with fog, 1 day with haze. And again, the light rain can show up there even if you get a little bit here and just barely wets the ground and is not measurable precipitation. It still will trigger that light rain bucket there, and no days with that dense fog, no thunderstorm activity as well. So if we take a look here, we're going to skip by that one and we're going to go to Portland here. 104. So this is the July 2024. It actually doesn't show, no, or does it here? Let's see. This is last year value dates. No, it does not show the all-time record high on the Portland, Oregon one. Some of the National Weather Service offices do differ a bit. So only 0.08 of an inch of rain, 2 days there where it collected those, that only 0.08 of an inch of rain. And if we scroll down here, of course, no snowfall. That goes without saying. And we go down here, we did get the one thunderstorm there as well. So yeah. So let's take a look here now at Medford, Oregon. You can see 115 is the all-time daily record high on July 20th, 1946. Check it out, 112. Got pretty close there on July 6th. Look at the average maximum temperature, 98.3. And you can see the normal value there. So you're looking at almost 7 degrees above normal for the month of July, 6.7. So very intense heat for the month of July. Scroll down a little bit more here and you can see only a trace of rainfall there. Nowhere near the record set back in 1913 of 2.74. Scroll down a little bit further here, and let's see, did we get, yeah, they actually recorded thunderstorms, just no measurable precipitation, light rain on 1 day. So one of those days, at least thunder was heard, which is what constitutes a thunderstorm, but no precipitation was received. You can see 11 days with haze with some forest fire smoke out there as well, and no dense fog. And now let's keep on scrolling through here. We got Pendleton, Oregon. Look at that high temperature, 109, the all-time record high. We didn't get there. That was set back in 1928. And yeah, so last year, actually, look at that, 2023, 103 on July 20th was the high temperature for last year's July. But again, maximum temperature almost 6 degrees above average, 5.9 degrees above average. So again, extremely warm July. Totals only 1 day there with 1/100th of an inch of precipitation, one thunderstorm there, and you can see 3 days with light rain, some haze out there from the forest fire smoke as well. Now this is for Boise. So July 2024 was one of the warmest Julys on record for Boise, Idaho. Average temperature 82.5, making it the third warmest July behind 2021 and 2007. So it also tied the all-time number of days reaching or exceeding 100 degrees, totaling 15 days. And that was set back in July 2003. And what else? A notable heat wave, 9 consecutive days of temperatures at or above 100 degrees. So that's been set 6 times previously. So yeah, a pretty nice warm stretch there also. But if we scroll down, you can see that average temperature there, very warm. The highest temperature, 108 on July 10th. What else do we have noteworthy here? We have only 0.12 of an inch of rain. How many thunderstorms does it tell you? Oh, no, Boise leaves that out. So you'd have to go digging into the raw data to get that. But look at that impressive wind gust there as well. 47 miles per hour on July 24th. Now take a look at Spokane. Here we go. So the all-time record high is 109 during July in 2022. We got to 105, so not bad on July 10th. And again, Spokane well above average. Just very impressive. They're 6 degrees above normal, and that's kind of been a trend for Spokane here over the last couple of decades, and we're going to take a look at that on another slide next. But you can see total's only a trace of rainfall there. And do they have thunderstorm activity here? But yes, but no thunderstorms. 4 days with light rain, but no measurable precipitation associated. If we look at Spokane again, let's look at Tri-Cities here. You can see 109 on the 9th. Look at that, 47 degrees on the 26th. Kind of chilly there. But the average temperature there, 5.6. The average maximum, 5.1, sorry, degrees above average. What else? We got some only trace of rainfall there. And this, again, is for Pasco, Tri-Cities. 1 day of thunderstorm activity. And again, that was Pasco. But look at Spokane here. So I'm going to go ahead and enlarge that. So I believe we're done using the other one anyway. But you can see Spokane. Check it out. The most unusually hot city in July was Spokane, Washington, in the USA, where it was 7.24 degrees hotter than normal. Julys in Spokane have warmed 5.9 degrees on average since 1970. That is an incredible increase in the average temperature for Spokane here. I'm not going to comment further on that yet. I'm probably going to work on a video talking about climate change here, which of course I'll be quoting experts and whatnot. And, it's probably going to be a little bit of a controversial video. I don't like to do a lot of that on my channel here because it kind of gets people, get people riled up a little bit. But we'll go into that eventually here. And I'll tell you what the experts say, if nothing else. It's important to know what the experts are saying. So now we got the U.S. climate outlook for August 2024. What does the Climate Prediction Center say is going to happen for 2024? So you can see issued on the 31st of July, and kind of similar actually to what it was showing last month. You can see the Intermountain West does include Western Washington, Oregon, except for the coastal regions there. You got equal chances, but again, this is just a probabilistic forecast here for on chances for above normal temperatures in the areas. And again, to look at this, 40 to 50% chance of being well below normal. And then you can see you still have chances, even in the blues here, that you're going to be above normal. Again, just a probabilistic forecast. And let me see if I can go ahead and do this. Let's see if let's take a look at precipitation too. We want to go ahead and note this. This was issued July 31st. You can see again, with that below normal precipitation here for the month of August. We'll see how this goes here because we've got some troughing coming up, and we might be able to squeeze some precipitation out of that. So hopefully we can prove the Climate Prediction Center wrong on that front. And what else do we got here? Oh yeah, wanted to give you a little teaser coming up because La Nina is slowly developing here across the equatorial Pacific. We are into negative territory for the area that we measure La Nina for the first time since the last La Nina. And so that is a good sign. But we've got some interesting data coming up on that, and that's probably going to be coming out next week. I'd like to wait for the Climate Prediction Center to get their seasonal updates here so we can take a look off in towards the fall and the winter months as well and see what kind of precipitation and temperature anomalies they are declaring for the Pacific Northwest. Of course, La Nina kind of highlighted here by the high pressure that will dominate out over the Pacific Ocean at times and bring a more variable jet stream, wetter and cooler than normal back down to the Pacific Northwest, can mean for some nice mountain snows and even some snow for the lower elevation. So anyway, let me know what you guys think here. This is the first video, so it's going to be kind of rusty, and I'll try to find a way to streamline some of this data. Maybe I'll break down this data a little bit more next time, and we'll go over just the more interesting stats instead of going through each individual station. I'll try to cherry pick the fun stats out of each and every one, and we'll continue to go over things like this, and we'll look at the national ranks versus the state and the county ranks as well. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'll do my normal briefings tomorrow. Hope you're having a good day otherwise, and I will talk to you guys then.